After shooting the Ruger American pistol for a little bit, I found a few things out, and I wanted to go ahead and share them in the performance review. Now, shooting this pistol was really awesome, and toying with it a bit was really cool, and now it's over, but I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my impressions of this pistol before I go ahead and return it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is some little odd things about the pistol. So first thing that I thought was really cool is that you can actually fit 18 rounds in the 17 round magazine. It is really hard to do, but I was able to accomplish it. Your results may vary. And I was able to load it into the pistol, and it locked in. And then I was able to charge the pistol. And guess what? I had a topped off gun with 18+1. It was pretty tight, but I'm sure it's not recommended to actually do that and keep it on your nightstand as a nightstand gun, but it was actually doable, and I just wanted to share that cool little thing with you. So the next thing I want to talk about is the slide stop. Now, if you guys have seen any other reviews on the Ruger American, I did, and people were saying that the slide will go home if you slam the magazine hard enough, and that's absolutely true. If you look at how much this slide stop is on the slide, it's just enough room to have the slide stop on. There is no extra room. It is very Spartan in that area as far as room is concerned for locking the slide back. And yes, it was very easy to pop the slide into battery just by putting in the magazine in, or putting the magazine in the gun. So that is what it is. You will have to establish your own opinion about that. So the next thing I want to talk about is the grip pinch people were complaining about. Now, I and my wife and I never had an issue with this, and I think that is just because we were gripping it properly. Knuckles on each side. You're supposed to be putting it right in the V and then shooting from there. This is pretty much the natural grip if you're getting it out of a holster anyways, so I don't understand why people are getting pinches. From the videos I saw, they weren't exactly gripping the pistol right. I'm not sitting here defending Ruger. I'm defending fundamentals of marksmanship and basic, shooting. It's basically you just take the gun, you put it in your hand properly, especially if it's a big gun like this. There are certain things that you have to sacrifice when you go up or down in size, and this thing is a chunky monkey, and you do have to grip it properly if you do have smaller hands. I typically have smaller than average man hands, and I do not have a problem with it. My wife didn't have a problem with it either. So with that is on you to decide how it is, but you'll have to shoot it to experience it. So the next thing that I thought was interesting about this pistol is, how they're touting about how it's built for, to go the hell and back, and I believe it is, but there's one thing that basically says it's not really meant to go to hell, and it's not really meant to be a combat pistol. Right here. You give Novak sights to something that you say would be good for carry or somewhere where you could possibly get in a gunfight or whatever, and then you put a Novak sight on there. Well, if you're going to get in a gunfight, you're likely to get wounded and be down to one hand. So you might need to do a manipulation or two if you get a malfunction. Now, if you're having to reload, all you have to do is insert the magazine and slap it against your knee to send it home. I get it. That's probably why they did the Novak sights, right? But what if you get a malfunction? It's possible. Well, you could try to use the ejection port, but that's flared out a bit, and it's nice and rounded to where it'd be kind of hard to get a grip on it. But even then, it could cause another malfunction just by blocking the cartridge's exit route. So, or ejection port, if you will. But I'm not quite sure why they would go to Novaks. I understand that Novaks are the sexy thing now, but they aren't very practical in situations like this. They're only really good for competition, in my opinion, and that's just because it has no functionality right here other than the theoretical sight radius, improving your accuracy, when what you actually need to learn to do is how to aim in properly at distance, and you need to practice. It doesn't really make it that much easier. It's sight picture and steady trigger squeeze. So I don't see the point in the Novak sights, and I definitely don't see the point of them on this pistol. Now, my Novak sight opinion is separate from this pistol, and my opinion about this pistol with the Novak sights is my own opinion. I just wanted to go ahead and bring that in if you guys were curious. So, the next thing I want to talk about is the trigger. So, with this trigger, I would classify it more as a VP9 trigger mixed with a PPQ trigger. Now, why I say that is because the VP9 is very much like this trigger. I don't think they took the design from it, but it's very wide, and it also has that little trigger safety right there. Kind of funny. Not really in looks is it like a VP9, but you know, and also the PPQ trigger, because it does have a wall, but it ends up trying to just glide to the brake now that it's broken in. So when you do the initial uptick on this gun, you notice it doesn't really go very far. It's kind of like the VP9, how it doesn't really go very far, and then it just brakes. It kind of glides into the brake. It's almost like a heavy sponge to the brake, but it's not really that heavy. It really isn't heavy at all. So the next thing is what gets a lot of people. But look at this. That's the reset. And it's not very far, honestly. If you're going to look at other guns, you know, everyone compares it to a PPQ or whatever. It's really not that far in distance. I don't understand why people are getting all upset over this distance right here. This distance is really not that much. And when you're shooting fast, it's not really going to be that big of a deal, which actually brings me into my next point. It's recoil. Recoil is basically two subjects in one: muzzle flip, perceived muzzle flip, and felt recoil. So when you have a gun that, you know, they say it flips a lot, I consider it invalid unless that flip, it stays right where it goes. If it readjusts, say you're aiming right here, and then when it recoils, it goes right here, or it recoils and it goes right here, or wherever. As I've always said with muzzle flip, I don't care if the gun goes 360 degrees and it does a cartwheel in your hand, or whatever, it does a backflip in your hand, and then if it goes back back on target, right where you were aiming originally, who cares? Who cares how much it flips? But with this pistol, it doesn't really go back on target that fast. So with that, you do need to break this in. Now, with shooting it more, it becomes a lot easier. But most of the felt recoil is from the slide being very heavy. It is a very heavy-duty pistol. It uses a lot of thick metal, so it ends up being heavy. So with all that mass coming back, it is going to feel a lot heavier. It doesn't really actually flip that much as far as muzzle flip goes, but it doesn't really go right back on target that well either. So that leads me back to the trigger. You should only be shooting as fast as you can actually give an aimed hit. Now, if you're in competition and you're just slamming rounds out, fine, whatever. You're speed shooting, you know, who cares? This isn't a speed shooting gun. This is sold as a combat pistol or fighting pistol, you know, whatever. But that's the way I see this pistol as far as how to make it perform. You want to shoot this thing as fast as you can hit with it, and that's how you can do it. You basically shoot it as fast as you can hit it. There's nothing wrong with the reset being where it's at. Go ahead and let it out and do it again when you get your sights back on. I had no problem running this gun fast, and I showed you guys footage of that. So other than that, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any comments or concerns, go ahead and put them below, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys around.